Pro bikes are super cool and we love seeing the best riders using them at the biggest races. But some of the ways pros set up their bikes would probably ruin an average rider's bike. I've made some of these changes to my own bike and some of them definitely made it worse. So give these pro hacks a miss. If there is one thing that defines the look of a pro bike, it's a very tall saddle paired with a super low bar, which is about half a furlong further forward than it should be. I think it looks super cool. Yes, I've tried it, and yes, this is a pro bike hack that we should be avoiding like the plague. The reason is simple. Us average riders are nowhere near as skinny as the pros. Their upper bodies are generally very light indeed, so there isn't much weight going through their shoulders and their hands. Now you could do some core stability work to kind of mitigate this problem, but really, who's got the time? Part of the way that pros get a super long position is through a massive stem. Honestly, some of these stems that we see wouldn't look out of place in a pile of scaffolding. So why do the pros do this? Well, as bike design moved from the old tube and lug days and into the world of carbon, brands were less able to make custom geometries for their pro riders. In order to sell bikes to consumers, they tailored geometries a little more towards the common rider, and that involved making head tubes just a bit too tall for some racers. Those pros got around this by running a smaller frame size for the lower head tube. With frames having shorter reaches, the pros then made it up through massive stems. But this can ruin a bike's handling, massively slowing steering inputs. Now, naturally, this is a hack that I have tried. I was 19 and my back could handle it, but now I'm older and somewhat wiser. So heed my advice. Buy a frame size that is appropriate for you and fit a stem that won't make your back cry. I still believe nothing improves the look of a race bike more than a nice set of deep carbon wheels, but go careful, they could ruin your bike. And deep wheels are often faster than shallow hoops, but their flaw comes when the wind blows. I have a set of 60mm deep prime wheels, which quite frankly scare me. I believe the real issue lies in the rim profile at the front. Newer designs are often wider for enhanced stability, but really, if you want an easy life in all weather, wheels in between 40 and 50mm deep would be the way to go. So maybe if you're a newer rider or a little bit lighter like me, leave the super deep wheels to the pros. We've spoken a lot about the aero and comfort benefits of narrower bars, but when does it become too much or too little? Probably when you can't handle your bike properly, or if your bar looks like this. I'll be honest, I'm glad the UCI banned these. The UCI was actually quite sensible and put a minimum figure on the width of bars. Racers are now only allowed down to a 35cm bar, and pros need to have their hoods roughly in line with their drops. That being said, our testing showed that this was one of the best cost to benefit changes that you can make to make your bike faster. So if you like riding fast and you're still running wider bars, you might want to give this a go. Pro riders do be speedy, and to ride at their staggering pace, they need some big chainrings. Actually, they need monster chainrings. You'll regularly see 54, 56 and even 60 tooth whoppers on pro race bikes, but how quickly would these dinner plates ruin your knees? Faster than you can book a physio appointment, that's how. Now, this is not all about top-end speed and is mostly to do with chainline efficiency gains, but the simple fact is that we don't need to be copying this pro trend. My 52 tooth big ring was plenty for the group rides that I like to do. SRAM has even gone as far as making some of their big rings only 48 teeth. That means that you'll be able to spend more time in the big ring, which, if you're an egotistical maniac like me, feel great. If you have Look or Shimano pedals, you can, for about £6, buy yourself a quick ticket to knee problems. Both companies produce cleats with absolutely no float. Some pros prefer that super locked in feel, and if their bike fit is absolutely spot on, then there's no problem. But if, like me, you slap a new set of cleats to your shoes and only adjust them until they look about right, cleats with some float are gonna be safer. If you're dead set on running fixed cleats, I'd suggest getting them set up by a professional bike fitter. Waxing your chain is a proven way to make your drivetrain faster, keep it cleaner, and make it last longer too. So why is this pro trend one to avoid? Well, it only works properly if you invest the time and money into the preparation stage. Even a box fresh chain will need to be stripped with methylated spirits back to the bare metal before it goes for bath time in a pot of wax. So if you're not willing to wax a chain properly, give this pro hack a miss and slap on some chain oil. I will admit that a Pro's one-piece carbon cockpit does look quite cool, but there's a difference between us and the Pros, and it's not several hundred watts. Brands will often custom make cockpits for the Pros with those super long stems and narrow bar dimensions that we've talked about, but they don't often make those available to the public, and even then, the selection of sizes that are available might not be what you need. Bike fit is super important for the enjoyment of your ride, so prioritize fit over these fancy cockpits. And if that means using a two-piece setup, do it. The amount of carbs a Pro will eat in an hour can be staggering. Quite simply, they have big engines which require a lot of fuel. So the natural assumption is that if you eat like a Pro, you'll be able to ride like a Pro. Unfortunately, if you just one day decide to stuff your face with energy bars and energy gels all day, you're probably going to experience a rumble in the tummy jungle, and let's just say it won't be your sprints that become explosive. Unpacking the topic of what and how much to eat while cycling would require expert advice and a whole other video. So for now, I'd say that if you do want to eat more on the bike, increase your hourly intake quite slowly. Now, I'm a chap that shaves his legs. When non-cyclists ask why, I have to fob them off with the "it's faster" kind of line, which is just an outright lie. So why do the Pros shave their legs? Well, during races and training camps, they can be getting daily massages, and smooth skin is better for a rub down. And when a Pro crashes, the wounds are easier to treat when there isn't a forest of hair in the way. But I don't get many massages, and I try to avoid crashing. So, should we just stop? I'll put a poll on the community tab. You can decide for me. Only a few years ago, it would be relatively uncommon to see a road racer using a skin suit and aero socks in a road race. Now they're ubiquitous, but I hope this is a Pro trend that doesn't make it to the Sunday club run. Yes, they'll save you a few watts, but let's preserve a little bit of cycling's heritage and leave the go faster clothing for race day. Pros have been using TT tyres in big races like the Tour de France because they're just faster, but I wouldn't even bother considering using them for regular riding. These tyres have zero puncture protection, and the rubber compound of the tyre is incredibly thin, so your super expensive tyres are going to be shredded in no time at all. If you are genuinely interested in getting faster and how to sensibly spend your money to do so, go and check out this video and make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss our upcoming coverage of Paris-Roubaix from the race itself. I cannot wait to go there. Okay, I'm throwing it over to you now. What Pro bike hacks do you think regular riders need to avoid? Get them down in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time.